Ideas Original.
Philly was right there involved with the humble beginnings of the culture.
Yes,
from graffiti to pop locking to break dancing to all of that. You know what I'm saying? And DJing, of course. And so we were essentially, we were looked at as the little brothers, but we were essentially a part of the culture, the upbringing of the culture, and in a hotbed of what was going on. And so, naturally, because I gravitated towards it, like all of us, you know what I'm saying, because we are hip hop, you know what I'm saying, that, I began to, try to, create demo tapes. It was ashy tapes, of course, because we was doing it on the double cassette radio joints, you know what I mean? Mic plugged up on the box, but, we were still trying to create something. And, I would eventually take those tapes and try to get deals, put them in the mailbox, send them to the next plateau and Tommy Boy and all these, and of course, Def Jam and all of that.
Right.
But eventually, after so many years, we end up at, didn't get a deal back then, but we ended up at Howard University, studied, communications and all that, and ran into the likes of Mark Pitts and Derek D. Angeletti and those guys that had already cemented themselves in the game. And so that's where that relationship would foster, and eventually we would end up getting a deal after I got out of college, you know what I'm saying? But the relationship was developed in college, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What's interesting about that is it's sort of like almost like it was a Renaissance period at Howard.
Yeah.
Right? Like, did you know that those people then, did you know that they would be, or their contribution to hip hop would be what it is now back then?
Yes and no. And the reason why I say that is because I knew we were a part of something special, because everybody during that time, you could sense it in the air. Everybody during that time was going to do something. Didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but you just felt like, and again, Gen X, you know what I'm saying, kind of ushered in a lot of things. And one of the things that I think we ushered in is the entrepreneurial spirit. So you felt like these cats weren't going to college just to go get regular jobs, you know what I'm saying? Or go get that regular not to say anything is wrong with that, but not going to get that typical 9 to 5, punch in at 9, lunchtime at 12, punch out at 5 type of situation. They were creating something. We were creating something different. And so when I say I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew it was something special going on with the group of people that I went to school with, you know what I'm saying?
Something was stirring in the pot back then.
Absolutely. It was something in the water.
That DMV area back then was crazy, bro.
Like crazy.
Man, Howard, Morgan, Coppin State, that whole conglomerate area.
Absolutely.
So back then, right, you being an MC, who were the MCs that most intrigued you that made you an MC outside of maybe Melly Mel?
Well, LL was the first one. LL in 84, 85, like from my perspective, and we were close in age, but from my perspective, it was like, and I think Run kind of scratched the surface with this. We can go to, Curtis Blow, but Run kind of scratched the surface with this, but I think LL brought it to the forefront with this vibrato.
Right.
Machismo. This felt like he was a superhero. He had a bell top hang on with the fila suits and the balloon. I mean, I'm like, yo, who is this dude right here? You know what I mean?
Like Bruce Wayne now. He's still doing it.
It's incredible. I don't think anybody stepped on the scene quite like that, and he looked like one of us. It wasn't like, when you look at the Furious 5, they had on some crazy fits.
That wasn't the look.
You know what I mean?
With the raccoon tail on the back.
Nah, we wasn't doing that. That was too rock starish type. You know what I mean? But, LL, he ushered in this thing where it looked like the stuff we was wearing, you know what I mean? And so, and he was super. See, this is the part that a lot of these kids don't understand. This dude was an animal on the microphone. It wasn't just love songs, like, you know what I mean? So, he was the first, but then after that, we're going to go to 87 where we ushered in a new type of MC, 86, 87, when we get the rock hymns and we get the, the Karis Ones and the Chuck D's and the G Raps, you know what I'm saying? And all of these guys is coming after that, the Big Daddy Kings. And so they kind of, with regards to me cultivating who Tracey Lee would eventually become to be, everybody has like influences. And so these were the guys that kind of influenced that perspective. And then, as we get further along, I was a huge fan of Redman, you know what I'm saying? When we talk about 92, you know what I mean? And so, so these are the guys that I kind of looked up to and was like, yeah, I got to get them. I got to get to them. This is the level that I'm trying to be on. You know what I'm saying?
So growing up in Philadelphia with him again, going out to Howard, what would you see like in the rap scene in Philadelphia with him, like as far as trying to come up through there? What was that experience like?
Our hero, back then, of course, cats that made it big time was Fresh Prince, aka Will Smith, Steady B. You know what I'm saying? He was, again, when we start talking about, your peers, if you will, like he was close enough in age and looked like us and dressed like us and had our, our Philly thing going on and the swagger and all that, you know what I'm saying? So, and then, eventually it would be Black Thought, coming up, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but there was a gap, right? Okay. So there was a gap. When you start talking about, and I got to give a huge shout out to Bahamadia, because Bahamadia was so crazy. Like, I think she was super ahead of her time. You know what I'm saying? And I think there were certain things about her that people, they got it, but they didn't understand how dope she was. You know what I'm saying? Or is, should I say. Yeah. But there was a gap in between, Will and Steady. And then when we get eventually the Black Thought and the Roots, you know what I'm saying?
Eagle and all them, yeah.
Exactly. So I think, again, when we start talking about Philly and the proximity close to New York, inside of Philly, we always knew there was some dope MCs in there. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think because we were so close to New York, it kind of like overshadowed what was going on with regards to the music. You know what I mean? And so, and then we would eventually get to that explosion. You know what I mean? Because after Black Thought, then I think in Bahamadia and all that, then it was me. And then we caught the wave. You know what I'm saying? We caught Gilly and them. We caught Beans and them, State Property, all that. Then it was a wave, like from like 99 on up, like we caught fire.
Yeah.
But we always knew it was there. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, if the powers that be or whoever had control of the situation, you know what I'm saying, at that particular time could just tap into it. We knew what we was going to do in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting that you presented it like that, because one of the questions I had that I was going to ask you is that, as an MC going through that process, and we're outsiders, we're all New Yorkers originally. And for us, it sort of appeared to be almost like, all right, so here's Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And you go from Fresh Prince to all of a sudden it's the Beans, the Cassidy. And it's like, we knew that these other artists existed, but what was happening during that time period, just from your perspective as an MC and living and going through it, like, because for us, it's just like, you went from the Fresh Prince to all of a sudden it's Tracey Lee, Beans, Major Figures and all, and Cassidy, and now Meek and all this or whatever. Like, what was it like as an MC in that in-between time in Philly?
I think, and I hate to say it, but I think at one given time, I think we collectively finally realized we had to come outside of Philly in order to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I went to Howard and then eventually ended up in New York because that's where it was. Okay. You know what I'm saying? When all the other acts got signed, they had to leave out of Philly to go get signed. You know what I'm saying? So, outside of when we was really popping, I'm gonna take you back, like pop art, we grabbed cats from New York. We grabbed the Roxanne Shantays. You know what I'm saying? We grabbed a lot of those Juice Crew cats, and they came down there and made records down there in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, of course, New York is the biggest, they got the majority of the businesses and things like, just like LA, you got to go to where it's at in order to get, certain things done from a business perspective. So, that's what happened. We had to leave outside of Philly in order to get Philly recognized. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about it's party time. Now, you got Howard has an alum. You said D. Dot and a couple of other brothers there. Was that nucleus there? Is that where that song came from? Because how it was party time. It was that. Let me tell you something. I went to a party in Howard. It wasn't actually in Howard. The outskirts.
Oh yeah.
DC's a different place to hang out, bro.
Understood.
So was that the backdrop for that song? And think about that song is like almost 30 years old, bro, and it's still a rocker right now, bro. For real.
I'm gonna say emphatically, absolutely yes. You know what I'm saying? It was a combination of things, but I think the things that I was saying all came from there. You know what I'm saying? Like let's start with the production. Shout out to Amon Ra, you know what I mean, and Derek D. Angeletti, you know what I mean. They, captured. Well, first of all, when I got signed, I wanted to bring Ron Lawrence. Let me get the name just so people understand. Amon Ra is Ron Lawrence. But when I wanted to put myself out there, you know what I'm saying, for the first time, people hearing me and things like that, I wanted to make sure that people knew that I was from Philly. And so one of the samples that's in the record is from Pieces of a Dream, Mount Airy Groove. You know what I'm saying? Which is the zigga zigga zin, 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 and that's a park jam. You know what I'm saying? Like again, people that are listening, I'm from that era. Like I'll be this year. You dig me? So I go back. You know what I mean? Yes, for sure. So I just wanted that element understood. But then they bring in, the Malcolm McLaren, you know what I'm saying, world famous Supreme Team, and then but the way they flipped it was so crazy. And so, it's like the beat is so infectious, and the beat makes you want to you ain't got no choice but to rock out. And so the interesting thing about, me putting the lyrics together is like when I first wrote it, I mean, I was all over the place, like, because I just wanted to eat the beat alive, right? And so I was like, nah. You gotta let the joint breathe, man. Let it breathe. So, I went back, took some words out, you know what I'm saying, kind of into the groove. And then the rest is history. And like I told you, the lyrical aspect of it was all, you know what I'm saying, trees in the VIP section, Benson, connections. That's all Howard, man. That's the way we got down, you know what I mean, with no questions. So yeah, that was all Howard.
In my mind, I conjured up my own story around this. In my mind, it was like, yo, Universal heard that record and was like, yo, sign this dude up ASAP. Yeah. But you had your deal first and then created that record. So I know when you took them that record, they probably was like, this is a single.
Nah, check this out. So, oh wow. So first record I did once I got signed. Oh, mind you, okay, Many Faces is like 50%, little less than 50% of the demos that I sent to Mark Pitts. Okay. So these were records that I had did like 2-3 years prior to the album actually being released in 97.
Okay.
So half of that material was done in 93, 94. But
wow,
the theme itself, we were looking for a record to set the whole thing off, right? And so I did this record with Faith called It's Showtime, or Showtime, should I say. Mm-hmm. And it used the Road to the Riches. I think it's a Billy Joel sample. Ron Lawrence chopped it up crazy. Faith sang the beginning of it, sang on the beginning of it. It was hot, but okay, so here's my gripe with New York, just a little bit. So I'm an outsider, right? I'm coming from Philly. I'm an outsider. So I don't have relationships with the Clues at the time or the Funk Flexes and none of that. So when Universal is servicing the record, so he serviced the Showtime record, of course, they go, nah, that ain't it, da. So then I do another record. I sampled D'Angelo's Lady, right? Murder is the joint called I Like It Like That. This was like right on the heels of Lady Being Hot. So I did this like at the end of the spring of 96. So we serviced the joint, you know, DJs like, nah. Capri loved it, but it still didn't get the ear of the people that were on the airwaves and the people that would, you know what I'm saying? So then here comes the theme. And so with the theme, service the record. Nah, that ain't it. Until and y'all can attest to this, I'm sure.
Master Flex.
Nope.
Wow.
Red Alert.
There you go.
Wow.
Red Alert.
Red Alert.
Red Alert breaks everything, man. And you in 96, Red Alert is king amongst the DJs. So if Red Alert says it's a go, then it's a go. And as soon as he's, oh no, this is fire. Everybody fell in line after that. So then now you got Universal scrambling, because Universal at the time was a young company. They didn't know anything about hip hop, how to market hip hop or anything. So the model, or should I say the plan was, or should I say their business acumen, or how they approached breaking records was make the record, service it, see if it sticks. There was no science to it.
No work in the record.
No work. I mean, not to say that shout out to Garnett Reed, because he was the only one up there, and rest in peace to that brother. But he was the only one up there that really knew how the streets work. And so he was out there. He's the one that gave it the Red Alert, and he's the one that believed in the record, you know, along with our team, along with Dot and Mark and all of that. But Universal upstairs had no clue. They had no clue how to do it. You know what I mean? And so because Red Alert gave it the go, then the DJs fell in line, and then Universal fell in line.
I'm surprised that the joint with the Road to the Riches sample wouldn't have stuck, because that was a big New York City record. And then didn't the Alcoholics, the Licks, do something with it? That was a big record. So, but I could see how Red Alert was sort of like kind of push the button on the theme, though. But it got the jam sound to it.
But the thing was, Red Alert never, I don't know why, but Red Alert never got those other two records.
Oh wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the minute he heard, the first thing he ever heard from Trey Lee was the theme. And that's when he was like, oh, this is a goal. You know what I'm saying? But again, you know, New York, it's like, you know, if you're not in certain circles, you're not going, like I was never a part of it. Exactly.
Exactly.
Let's go right on the shelf in New York.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, that's definitely tough.
Yeah, I mean,
that song, man, like I think not maybe about a year ago, and that song came on. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I had to check it, like people in here my age, like, and I listen to other your stuff, so you're not a one-hit wonder by no means.
No, not at all.
But that song alone still rings for me, and I love it. I like hearing it when it comes on. It's almost like deja vu from the Bronx. When you hear it, it's like, oh yeah, this is where I remember where I was when I heard this.
Yeah.
So,
it was like in you know, for DJs back then, the thing, it was the Benjamins, the thing, put your hands where my eyes can see. Like that was the set. You know what I'm saying? That was the set. And then, like you said, when the if it wasn't for the Bronx, when that joint comes in, that came a little later, then you brought that into the set. But that was the set. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I often wonder for artists though, like after you create an anthem, because we gonna say that's an anthem.
Yeah.
Like, is it hard to follow that up? Like, do people begin to start every record? They be like, yo, every record got to be out of here. Every record got to be an anthem. And I mention that because I think about like a group like Naughty by Nature. Right. And Naughty by Nature to me is like they like the kings of anthems, but that sort of became like their lane. They kind of got like typecast. If there's typecast for rap, there's, you know, you got the Craziest, you got OPP, you got Hip Hop Parade, like everything is an anthem type record. Like, so how do you pivot from that, you know, from being like the anthem record? I mean, you had the joint with Big, that's obvious, but like, do you feel like you had to live in the shadow of that record?
I think that the label tried to force me to live in that shadow, and that's the reason why I probably am not in the game like that anymore, because the album, you know, and again, it goes back to Universal not knowing how to market and promote hip hop, how not to, you know, they lacked in promoting, you know, I'm not going to say they lacked in promoting real MCs, but I'm going to just say hip hop, right? They were more concentrated on pop culture. They want return on investment, you know what I'm saying? So, but Many Faces was far from, you know, that first record. So they didn't know how to follow up with the second single. It was there in their face with Stars in the East, in my opinion, because it was right in the middle of the summer. It was still a groove, and they had the, you know, the what's the sample? The Jones Girls, Nights Over Egypt. It had the Nights Over Egypt sample. You know what I'm saying? So it was right in pocket. It was a summer groove party record, but it was still raw. And I think they were looking for that pop appeal type joint. So for me, I never wanted to try to duplicate the theme, and I think that was a part of the problem. I wanted the flexibility to create and do what I felt was hot. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be, you know, the theme or Stars in the East or the Keep Your Hands High or blah, blah, blah. But those are all three different, totally different records. You know what I'm saying? So there was never a formula thing for me. And I think that was, from an industry perspective, that was a part of our rubber meets the road problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm thinking about what you're saying in terms of Universal and lyricists. And I remember Universal, they signed Cannabis.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, you know, getting Cannabis was the scorching hot, killing everybody's record. And I remember getting his album, putting it on, and was like, yo, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
totally different than what you thought.
What is this? But then the flip side of it, you know, they had the Lost Boys. And the Lost Boys to me was sort of like the anthem, like what I just said, like kind of like the anthem type thing, like very much formulaic type records that they really got behind. And you know, I like Mr. Cheeks, but I wouldn't say that Mr. Cheeks is like a lyricist. Like, you know, I think that he's a great entertainer and a good MC. So yeah, I kind of see like the approach for working, I guess, like artists that make primarily like radio friendly records versus artists that's lyricists.
Like think about who came after the wave of Mead Cannabis, because Mead Cannabis, A+, shout out to the Reaps who are my peoples. Like all of us got signed at the same time. And then that's when they were trying to figure it out. But then they figured it out once Nelly and Cash Money and all of them came in. Because going back to your point, there's the formula. They have formulaic records that they can, and also they, you know, those particular artists and groups, should I say, or they came in with a structure already. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like getting directly signed to a label or getting signed through somebody. They had stuff popping in their areas already. And so it was kind of like, we're just going to put the money behind it and leave them alone and let them do what they do. But from a business and radio perspective, we'll take those radio records and push them through our system. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're giving us something that we feel like we can put the money behind. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what's interesting about that though, really quick, is that record labels back in the days were more machine oriented with A&Rs and development of talent and stuff like that. So why they wouldn't make that, you know, why would you have a division devoted to rap, but you wouldn't make that investment to ensure that that division would be successful? Is that's, you know, like, it's because now it's an era where if you sign to, in my opinion, if you sign to a record label, you just sign it because you want to sign to a record label, kind of thing or whatever. But back then there was really that machine that was behind everything, supposedly helping to develop and break an artist.
Well, I mean, there was, and you know, you got to get into, you know, that this is pre-streaming, right? This is physical copies. These are, you know, your sales are predicated on something else. You know what I'm saying? So in order for, you know, the people to get behind a certain artist, you had to be pushed in a certain way. And I always say, you know, the first level of getting signed back when I got signed is, to me, I mean, and it's opinionated, but I think you had to have a certain skill level first. Then the record making came in after the fact. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, you know, you brought these records in, because that's, to me, is what the criteria is today. It's about the record and not the skill level. You know what I mean? And because of that, that's when these things diminish. You don't need an A&R to judge the record, so to speak. You need the A&R to see if there's a potential, and the A&R kind of molds and shape and blah blah blah. Whereas now people are at home making these records and getting these followers and fans that aren't really, with regards to the ear and understanding what the record, they just going on popularity. They're going on, again, the following that they may have on social media, and they kind of follow that wave because, to the business person now, it all results in the sales. And it has nothing to do with the art and the culture and the criteria of what a record is supposed to sound like. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So I think we need A&Rs back.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. You need a lot of development.
Qualified A&Rs now. Okay. It's a difference. Yeah. You got to be qualified. Right, what I'm saying? Because anybody can take that position in that office and call themselves an A&R and not qualified to do it. Because that's what happened to me. That's what happened at the tail end of the industry. You started getting these people in there that saying they were A&Rs, but weren't qualified to be A&Rs because they didn't understand a damn thing about the music. They were placed in that position just to be a puppet or overseer. They didn't know nothing about the music.
Some dude from Wisconsin was evaluating what's the next.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
So when all this stuff happens and you realize there's a disconnect, which there obviously was, how do you have those conversations, and what is it like coming up in that office when you realize that like this is that we got some confusion, something going on here?
It's hard, man. It's hard to go up in these offices being an artist. You know what I'm saying? Once back then, once you were an artist trying to oversee your business, that was kind of frowned upon.
Okay.
You needed a manager, right, to talk for you. And hopefully that manager is in cahoots with the powers that be. You see what I'm saying? That won't ruffle feathers, if you will. You know what I mean? You got to toe the corporate line. You got to play the political game. But if you were an artist trying to take care of your business back then, oh no, nah, you're not. Because now that's the artist trying to take control of his business, and you're not supposed to know that much. You understand?
That's the artist today.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not supposed to know that much. You're not supposed to know, and I know we're gonna get into it, but that's the reason why I went to law school, because there were certain things that I had a certain amount of intelligence to know that this is not right, but I need to pinpoint what it is and be able to speak intelligently about it. You know what I'm saying? Knowing the legalese and the jargon and all that other stuff. But, you were definitely frowned upon as an artist going up in there talking about, we need to, those units that you shipped out, you knew you weren't going to sell those units. So why are you charging me for those units that you weren't going to sell? And I got the buyback. It's the buyback. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that artists didn't understand back then. You know what I mean?
So I don't know how your first project actually did, like how it performed on Universal, but I know it had to perform well enough. They saw something to open up a budget for a second project, but the second project ended up getting shelved. Like what was the rationale? What reason did they tell you for shelving the second project after opening up a budget for the second project?
Great question. So after the first album, I was signed to Boston Universal. Boston was run by Mark Pitts. After the first album, the Universal decided, or Mark decided, they wanted to part ways. So Boston went down to LaFace. They went, to Atlanta, set up shop with LaFace. Okay. Got a deal with them, distribution deal with them. But Universal, this is what was told to me. Universal said, okay, you're in the red. You got to give us an opportunity to make our money back. Trey was the most successful artist up under Boston. We're going to keep him. You can't take him with you to LaFace.
Wow.
So, and this is what was told to me. I have my thoughts about what happened, but that I have no basis for what is just a conspiracy theory, if you will. But me being a Universal now, I don't have anybody in the building. Right? So who's speaking? Going back to what we're talking about, I'm the artist up there trying to handle my business. Who's speaking on my behalf? I'm signed directly to Universal now. So they opened up a budget, And they gave me the opportunity to create an album. Me and D-Dot, I think we created a great album called Live from the 215. We had a video out called We Like. It had the likes of Ludacris and Lil Jon in the joint before, they popped off. Shot it. Brian Barber shot the video, who's the videographer behind Outkast, and shot Idlewild and all that other stuff. So, the project is quality. But as soon as we make this video and we go out on a promo tour with Ram Squad, we did that all summer of 2000, and I think in 2000. And then we come back at the end of the year in 2000, going into 2001. We get the pink slip. We get the your services are no longer needed. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. Right. So going back to your question, why would they open up a budget? You know what I'm saying, to allow me to make this second album and then shelve it? I just think personally it's a write-off. You know what I mean? Because you already got Cash Money, you already got Nelly and them, supporting the top half of whatever you're trying to do. So they could afford to go ahead and, shell out some money for other experimental projects, not just mine. Ram Squad was on that list. I forget who else was signed. I'm thinking McGruff was on the label at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, they gave us the opportunity to make these records. Again, going back to if they would have gave us this money and something would have stuck, you know what I'm saying? But then they would have probably ran with it, put some more money into it. But then, I'm hearing rumors that they purposely said pull back on the Trey Lee project to all the DJs that was out there getting white labels and stuff like that. That's what I'm hearing whispers of. Like I said, I have no proof of that. But to answer your question, I think they could afford to spend that money, and we talking about, see, now we're getting into business 101. It ain't just Universal Records that is the operation here. It's owned by Seagram's at the time. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Seagram's got other things up under the umbrella. You know what I'm saying? This is just one thing. You know what I mean? So, they can afford to, write off a quick mill or a quick 800,000 or a quick, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Now, with that being said, because you said you did promo, you record and all that, like, is the expectation when they drop you that you still supposed to recoup that money? Like, how does that portion work? Like, is it because the company, we know they're gonna write it off, but are they still on the impression like, well, now Trey Lee, we still expect you?
We're gonna double dip on this one.
Once you drop, so you don't owe that money. But I had started off in a hole. I was already 600,000. Right from the first project, so they say. See, I'm not looking at the numbers. I didn't get the accountant in there to go ahead and do the audit. None of that. I'm just going with the flow. But so they say I'm already in the red 600. And they're gonna put another 800,000 on top of that. So now I'm 1.4 in the hole. You know what I mean? So, but once you get dropped, for all the people that's listening out there, like if it's just right. They're not gonna go into your bank account and get 1.4 million out of there. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're just gonna write it off and keep it pushing. You know what I mean? But nah, I wasn't on the hook for that, like out of my pocket personally.
Yeah, I would have been like, yo, once I knew I was in the hole for that 600, I'd have been like, yo, shoot my video in black and white. Run is gonna be on a van. I'm gonna drive city to city. I'll pay for my gas. Yo, I'll print out my own t-shirt.
Mega bus or the camcorder.
Word.
Yeah, Rob.
But at this point, this is where things go. I got to do some shit for myself, and law comes into a play. Mm-hmm. So, what did you get a degree in at Howard?
I got the degree in communications. I got my bachelor's in communications.
So you got your bachelor's in communications, you're an MC, you go through this whole ordeal, and now it's a pause now. It's a long pause, and you go to yourself, something got to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yo, can I say one thing before you answer that, Trey Lee? Yo, just speaking on what my man Rob said, it's crazy because, growing up in a hood is people's lifelong dream to sign a record deal, but look at how it's framed, that we frame it as it's an ordeal. The experience becomes an ordeal. It's crazy, right?
Real rap. That's the perfect word to use. That's the perfect word to use. Like if you don't understand, for all the kids out there that's trying to get a deal or trying to you know what I'm saying, and whether it be independently or not, you know what I'm saying, if you putting your life, like this is what I dreamt about since I was 11, 12 years old. And now I'm at the time 31, 32 years old, and it comes to a screeching halt. It's like even when I was in college, I knew I wanted to be an MC. I knew I wanted to be an artist. I knew I wanted to make records. You know what I'm saying? And I was just using these other things as stepping stones to get to that point. So when it comes to a screeching halt at that particular time, and now we in my 30s, it's like it becomes what Rob said, an ordeal. That whole experience is an ordeal. So, you know, you gotta step back. You know what I mean? You gotta look at the game. Yep. Fresh and figure something out. And I'm a real spiritual cat, man. So, you know, I'm praying to God every day, man. I'm you know, just going to church and trying to get into, you know, get into a situation where, you know, my mind is clear so I can listen. You know, I'm taking walks outside, man, just being one with nature, if you will. You know what I mean? Like kind of just being silent, being still, and trying to, you know, just, you know, listen and hear what it is that I'm supposed to do. Right. And I always like to tell this story. I've told it 1,000 times, and anytime that I do interviews, I got to tell it. Like I was down on my last $7. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm in Atlanta. I went down there to live with my brother. My brother had just, you know, decided that he wanted to go to grad school. So he decided he would move to Michigan. So now, you know, thank God there was a young lady at that particular time, not my wife, but, you know, I kind of, you know, she brought me in and things like that just so I could get my thing together. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I went to church with my last $7. And I just gave it to God. I said, put it in the plate. And I said, look, the only thing I could do with this is go get a meal. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, then what? So this is kind of like the sacrifice here.
Right.
Take care of that. You know what I mean? And so a week later, I get a call from Wayne Barrow. Now, Wayne Barrow was the cousin of Mark Pitts, who was the president of Bostorm, or vice president of Bostorm at the time. And he's like, yo, Universal has a check for you, but we don't have an address. So, you know what I'm saying? Here's a number, call them, give them your address, and they're going to mail you the check. I said, okay, cool. So did that. A week after that phone call, I get a check in the mail for $7,000. So this is a 2-week span between the time I put the 7 in collection plate to the time I get the $7,000. Week after that, I get another check for $57,000. And so this whole process is me starting with me saying, what am I going to do next? I need to be still and just listen. And so that is what, you know, prompted me to say, hey, you know, because of the ordeal, Rob, that we're talking about, let's take another spin to this business. Let's adopt something else. Let's add something to the repertoire, if you will. Don't stop doing music, but you got to figure out from the business perspective how this thing goes. So if you're going to move forward in the future, whether it be as an executive or be an artist or what have you, or represent artists, you know what I'm saying? You got to understand, you know, the legalese and the nuances of the game, and not just getting in front of the mic and rhyming. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the whole idea of me going to law school. So I went down to, I took the LSAT, you know, and got a good enough score to get into Southern University Law Center down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, another HBCU. I'm HBCU all day, you know what I mean?
I finish the story, but I want you to finish the story. But I'm gonna ask you, how the hell were you a staff at Coppin State? That's the most weirdest place to have a university off of North Avenue.
Yo,
finish the story, bro.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. So, you know, I went to Southern in 2003, graduated in 2006, passed the bar in 2007, and been a licensed entertainment attorney for the last 18 years, almost 18 years.
Nice.
Did you ever get your bar? Did you go for the bar?
Yeah. I got the JD in 06, and then I passed the bar in 07. So from that point, and I passed the bar right after I moved back up this way from Louisiana. I'm in the DC area now, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like I said, I've been practicing since then, you know what I mean?
What's the most fascinating thing about being a lawyer now that you're a lawyer?
Fascinating. You know what's okay, it's crazy, but what's fascinating is that I'm representing clients and they're asking for the guidance, and then don't want to adhere to the guidance because they want to get on so bad. You know what I'm saying?
Be thirsty.
And I remember, see, and this is the thing. I remember I can go back to when I wanted to get on so bad, right?
Yeah.
So I can empathize. But listen, man, if you asking me for my opinion and assistance and expertise, and I'm telling you not to sign that. I'm telling you, like, look, man, I done seen this 1,000 times. Do not sign it, and you go ahead and sign it. That's the most fascinating thing to me.
Are you going with, like, as you're representing people? Are you giving them your lived experience, like telling them like I'm in the game? Okay,
really, that's how people seek me out. Because they research and they see. They say, "Oh, you did a joint big. Oh, you did this part. It was on Billboard. How many weeks? Oh, you've been on Rap City. Oh, yeah. I got to get because you understand what I'm like. Yeah, I'm you.
Reach the big.
So
now, how does that work with versus ISO? You're talking about people that want to get their feet wet and get in the game. How does that work with people that are your contemporaries that may have already been in the game and seek out your services? Do they actually take advice, or is still some of the same stuff?
Oh no, for sure. I mean, but they take my advice for other ventures. So it's not necessarily, to sign a deal, you know what I mean? Like, but it's for other things. Maybe they want to sign somebody else. So they'll grab me as a lawyer to work out a deal with other, but they understand too. And this is where it kind of gets murky, is because I'm not going to, for lack of, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to tell you, but I know that now, since you're on the executive side, that you may expect me, I'm talking about other artists, to see sign those. Nah, I'm not gonna let that kid just sign anything. You know what I'm saying? You and I both know the game. They don't. I'm not gonna allow you to take advantage of them like we were taking advantage of them. You know I can't do that.
I got a two-parter then.
Yeah.
So how come it seems like in the music industry it's like one of those things where it's always like, if I got jerked, I'm gonna use that same method. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna start jerking people.
Yeah, that ain't just the music industry. That's nigga mentality.
Yeah.
Say it again, bro.
You know what I'm saying? That's nigga mentality, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's something with us, man. It's like because we went through it, you gotta go. No, it don't work like that.
And I gotta ask you, man. What do you think this whole 360 deal thing, man?
Listen, it's but you know what? Here's my deal on the 360. It's like this. If you can compartmentalize why they're giving you the 360, then I think you can mentally prepare yourself better for the 360. Okay. Just hear me out. So if you're coming to somebody and you have nothing,
okay,
you're not investing in anything.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't put a dime up for nothing, not your studio time, not getting the records in the right hands, not, you know what I'm saying, none of your marketing, none of your promotion, and you're coming to someone that has money and saying, hey, I like your talent. What I want to do is I want to put X amount of dollars into your talent, right?
Yeah.
How do I get a return on my investment? Where does it come from?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you can compartmentalize that, then I think you may be able to understand the 360 better. But if you're already coming with something that you brought to the table, somebody wants to come and take the lion's share of what you've already established.
Yeah.
Hell no. 360s, like, you don't have to. Matter of fact, you can just continue to do what you do. But the problem with a lot of people is that they don't want to put in the sweat equity to keep their machine running. So that's why they go outside to get, additional funds to keep it popping. You know what I'm saying? But again, if you are bringing something to the table and somebody tries to take the lion's share of that away from you, then it don't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times, like, artists enter into these bad deals or bad situations for two reasons. One being, the desire, like you said, like, I just want to be on. And then two being, sadly, that people may believe in them more than they believe in themselves. I say that because there's situations where people sell their publishing for dirt cheap because they think in short term instead of long term.
Right.
And, you have situations, like you said, like a personal sign, a 360 deal, like, well, I'm going to get whatever amount of dollars. And then a lot of times it seems like to me is that people get upset when they outperform whatever it is they signed for, right? Like, so you're like, hey, give me, we had an artist on here, he was talking about he sold his publishing for, I think, a couple of $100,000. In my mind, it goes to, okay, if somebody was willing to give you a couple of $100,000 for your publishing, what really is your publishing worth 5 or 10 years from now? So do you come up against that? Do you see that happen a lot where they'll sign these deals today and then later on realize, oh snap, the value of my work is actually more than what I was given originally? And how do you sign that?
I mean, you gotta okay. So going back to what you said, you gotta believe in yourself, and you gotta have a foresight, right? So if you're in a position at that particular, this is what if you put yourself in a vulnerable position, right? I think a lot of people put themselves in a vulnerable position where somebody can come at the right time and say, "Hey, I got $100,000. You'll never see $100,000 in your life. Let me get that." You know what I mean? And make you believe that.
Right.
Then, so it's twofold. Are you getting jerked, or what they saying is actually true? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't predict what your publishing is worth at that particular time. You can't. So it's a gamble. It's just like any business venture. It's a gamble. It's like, okay, if you got a plan for that $100,000 right now, right, and you don't know what that publishing is going to be worth 10 years from now, then take that $100,000 and go on with your plan. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't got a plan, and there's $100,000 in front of you, and all you're gonna do is take that $100,000 and go buy a car or go buy, you know what I'm saying, chain or something like that, then it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. You gotta have a certain type of business acumen. And see, these are the things that I want to teach these kids out here about how business works and how the music industry works. I mean, but business in general, these are all business transactions, right? You gotta have a certain a sense of business to understand what is a good deal, what's not a good deal. When is the right time to pull the trigger on something? When is the right time to say no? You know what I'm saying? I always teach my clients, always be prepared when you're negotiating, to be prepared to walk up from the table. Go into a negotiation knowing I could get up and walk away at any time and be good and be gravy, because that means you have leverage. If you go to a negotiation table without leverage, you're gonna get got every time.
Yeah. What I think happens also is that most of the time when we hear these stories, it's usually stories about how people's catalogs or whatever it is have outperformed whatever they were initially given. We don't hear a lot of the stories about how somebody overpaid. Like, we gave this person $500,000, but the revenue generated was substantially less. These stories are around the industry, and even as outsiders of the industry, we constantly hear about them. But as a consumer of music and a fan of music, I always say to myself, like, with these stories being around for so many years, right? Hip hop, 51 years old, and it's been documented, like, that artists get jerked, but people keep falling for the same banana
over. It's amazing. It's amazing. But again, I think it goes back to vulnerability. I think it goes back to lack of leverage, like and belief in self, and belief in the product that you own. And I think it's damn near like how the story they're trying to teach us about the housing market. Like, they're trying to downplay the value of home ownership. Why? There has to be a reason why. Because they're trying to these corporations and companies are trying to sell all the homes. They want to make you believe that owning a home is not it. Are you kidding me? That is your bank. Like, I don't understand. That's a bank. That's your bank. You don't have to go to a bank ever again if you own a home. Yeah, you understand me? Come on, man. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
I was going to ask something along publishing. So, from a true lawyer's perspective, how does publishing work, and what is it designed to do?
Okay, so publishing is essentially ownership of your intellectual property, and it's designed for you to be able to eat off of that ownership forever. depending on if you choose to license the material, sell the material, or grant a license to sell the material. But it is ownership that is designed for you to eat off of it in perpetuity. Mm. And that's the part that I think doesn't sink in with a lot of, you know, when someone approaches you with X amount of, first of all, you got to understand what the value of what you own is worth, you know, in your mind, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not a set price, right? Right. It could diminish or it could increase at any given time. But you take yourself completely out of the game once you relinquish ownership. So then someone else can come along, buy it, and then put their joint in commercials, right. Put the joint in movies, put the joint on a television show that's now running in syndication. And then they eat off of that for the existence of that show, that movie, that, you know what I'm saying? So you got it, like, it's really a lack of education. You know what I mean? Mm. And then there's some people that have enough have enough ownership of enough material and other things. That's why when you see these deals where Jay-Z sold half of his catalog and this, that, and the third sold half of their catalog, it's like, first of all, the return on that joint is something stupid. It ain't just $100,000. We talking about billions of dollars. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they ain't gonna do nothing, but they already got an investment ready for that to flip that into, you know, double and quadruple that. So we're not even talking in terms of that. You know what I'm saying? We're talking in terms of people like myself and people like, you know, people in our category that aren't getting that much for the publishing. So it's like if somebody comes along and hands you $5,000, but you take yourself completely out of the game where 20 years from now, my kid may be able to eat off of something that I own that happens to get placed in a commercial 20 years from now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How difficult is it for an artist to get that publishing back?
I mean, everything there's a price. So you got money, you can buy it back. How much is it worth once you want to buy it back? Is the question. You know what I'm saying? It could be a situation where if somebody bought your publishing, nothing happened with it, and you come along and you say, "Hey, I got $10,000. Well, I ain't made no money off of it anyway, so here, take your publishing back." So it's really, you know, how much is it worth at the time that you want to buy it back? But you can buy it back for the right price.
Now, I don't know what I'm thinking in terms of, like, so standard recording contracts back then. Was there something in a standard recording contract that also had an artist relinquishing a portion of their publishing?
Absolutely. That was the standard. That was the standard. You at least give it up 50%. Wow. That's what my contract was. You know what I'm saying? And depending on who's doing the deal, you know, you may not get anything in return. I was supposed to get $10,000 for my publishing. I never received that. You know what I'm saying? Because they did, and it was my fault because I lost the first copy of my contract. So by right, you know, you can request a copy of the contract. And when I got the contract back, though, it said that I sold my publishing for $1. Right?
Yeah, right. Well,
the contract had white out on it.
You need to copy and paste and scratch it out.
Wow.
Hence, part of the reason why we went to law school. See, it's learn from your mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Correct that error right there.
But nah, 50 back then it was 50-50 was the standard. 50-50 was the standard, and you were lucky if, and there were some joints that was 100%, but 50-50 was the standard, and you were lucky if you got some money for it. You have to negotiate, like your lawyer has to negotiate. I just did a deal where, you know, somebody was looking for a 50-50 deal and they weren't offering no money for it. And I said, oh, hell no. No, if you're gonna give up, I don't care if you're known or not. If you're asking me off the rip for 50% of something that I created, you know what I'm saying? Then that costs something. You got to give me something.
I got to eat on that for a minute.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you got to give me something.
Yo, and the crazy thing is a recording contract is mad pages. They should have just put soul and an X next to it.
Yeah. You sit there with a book reading it.
Yeah, yada.
You're gonna hide it in the book, right?
Hide it in the book. Right, exactly. Especially now, yo, it's amazing how people don't read no more.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.
It's not, you talking about fascinating. That's another fascinating thing.
Oh yeah, no.
I had a question about that. I'm gonna let Yada go, but I had a question about then and now. But go ahead, Yada.
So with all the changes, like from the standard recording contracts to what you see now, I know the pitfalls are kind of changed. What do you see as like the biggest pitfalls now that people fall into with the change in the way music is?
What are the pitfalls? Oh, I know one. I know a huge one. Now, I've seen contracts now where people are signing away life insurance policies.
What?
Wow. Dang.
Or like you are signing a life insurance policy to the owner of that record company in case something happens to your life.
Damn.
That's crazy.
That is the wildest shit I've
And then they tell you to make drill music too, right?
Well, yeah, you go out in the hood, you get killed, I'm gonna still get my money. Yeah,
it's the write-off.
That's crazy.
Damn.
And it's collection on your life. They signing a $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 life insurance policy, and I got this from a producer. I said, "Yo, they want you to sign this deal, and you as the producer, they want you to sign a life insurance policy." What? I said, "What?" That's what's different now.
Wow.
And that was my question too, y'all. How was practicing law different 20 years ago to now?
Life insurance.
Yeah. Wrap your mind around that. Like, think about that.
Dangerous. We're gonna get money off you. Your life, alive or dead. Either way.
Y'all just answered it right, because then they tell you to make this kind of music, and then you go out in the street. You know what I'm saying?
Rappers dying has become big business, bro.
Yeah.
And then you have it.
How do you think we can get more artists while they're actually, you see it a little bit now, but you only see it with, like, I would say, like the bigger artists, but how do you think we get more artists to actually pivot and think about other streams of income or revenue while they're in the process of creating? Like, I don't know if a lot of artists think about life after the music, or they just feel like I'm gonna stay hot forever.
Yo, man, great question. And this is an initiative that I definitely want to help create, be a part of, and I think we need more programs within the music industry to teach you about business, to teach you about life after the music business, to teach you about health and wellness. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of kids out here that because of this music industry have real issues. You know what I'm saying? Mental issues, have like, and I mean, not just while they're in the industry, but after the music industry, as you would say, because now they don't even know how to cope with society. They don't know how to cope when the lights turn off and the curtains close, and now you got to deal with not only, you know what I'm saying, the regular public, but you got to deal with yourself. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's like we need more programs in this game. You know what I'm saying? And the music and the industry itself is not going to create these programs. You know what I'm saying? Just like the music industry needs a union. And I ain't just talking about the Recording Academy. I'm talking specifically hip hop. We need a union. You know what I mean? We need to understand and learn how to support and gather and move as a unit. You know what I'm saying? For the things that our culture needs, you know what I'm saying, and our artist needs in this culture. So more programs definitely need to be developed to educate these kids out here, you know what I'm saying, on how to maneuver and shake during and after, you know what I'm saying, your time, in front of the mic and then after the mic and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We did we right now we're about to release our second compilation project. And one of the things that I'm always like I'm kind of taken back by is that, we work with a number of different artists, and the artists seem to be really, really laser focused in terms of their artistry and creativity. But the other element of it, like the business element of it, is like not so much. And, you know, I would expect more because some of these are actually established artists that, you know, like they may not have any ideas in terms of like their publishing or just any of that stuff. It's just like they become engulfed in creating. So, you know, what needs to happen for us to get artists to, you know, not only worry about the artistry part, or even as an artist yourself, you could probably speak to this, like, you know, at the height of your creativity, you know, were you thinking about business? Like when you created the theme, was business in the back of your head, or was it just so like, yo, I got a hot record, that's all that matters, I'm making a hot record?
Yeah, man. I think well, you just debunked what I was about to say when you say even established artists, but I was about to say age, but I think it's more maturity. I think more experience should prompt you to understand. And you know, it's kind of like the whole theory of, you know, you don't get it until you bump your head a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? You got to get jerked a few times in order to understand, you know, the severity and the urgency of understanding how to conduct business in this game, and not just, you know, concentrate. You, in a perfect world, you know, as an artist, we all just want to concentrate on the music, you know what I'm saying, and leave it to somebody else to figure out, you know, how the I should be dotted and the T should be crossed. But the problem is, you know, there's not enough trust and there's not enough loyalty, if you will, to, you know, the person that is supposed to be handling your business and the person that you're doing the business for. You know, there's this greed element, you know what I'm saying? Everybody want to get money. So they'll get money at all costs and at your expense. So unfortunately, you as the artist have to be more hands-on with your situation. There's checks and balances, right? You know what I'm saying? You gotta, you know, get that other eye on it. You know what I mean? You have to, you know, and it's unfortunate, but you got to go behind the people that you hire to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So I think, you know, you again, with experience and maturity, you should, you know, want to, you know, increase your knowledge with regards to the business. But to your point, a lot of times people don't, you know, they don't want to put or concentrate that effort into doing that, and they just want to, you know, get into the music. So unfortunately, you got to bump your head and get jerked in order for you to understand that, you know, you better stop the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. We were interviewing Master Ace, and I asked him something about a royalty, and he was like, "Royalty?" It's like,
a royalty on what?
I'll never get a royalty check.
Oh, not Ace. He ain't no better than that. Ace,
no, I guess he was saying that fly tie. I think he was saying that.
Oh yeah, back in the day. Oh yeah, right, absolutely. Nah, they all listen. When we young, man, again, it goes back to, that's why I empathize with these kids that just want to get on. But the difference is, with when we were younger, we were relying on or trusted people to guide us in the right direction, right? Because we didn't know no better. We just wanted to get on. Whereas my clients, they know, and I'm telling them not to.
Don't do that.
I'm telling you not to. Whereas we didn't have that kind of guidance when we was coming up, because everybody was just like, yo, just sign that, because they're about to come up off you. They're about to eat over, so it was good. Yeah. But I'm telling you, don't do it, and you still do it. It's like, man, I don't know. You know what? There was this one. It's one artist. I told her not to do it. I swear. You signed that contract, and then 2 weeks later, yo, you think you can get me out of this contract?
Wow. And you knew it was coming, right? You just knew this. I knew it was gonna happen.
Yo, but you know, son, I commend you know what? I commend the humility to come back to you. You know, it's sad that it happened after the fact, but to still come back to you, because some people sat and suffered in silence.
Yeah. But I told her, I said, yo, don't do it. Don't do it. Please
don't do it.
Nah, I still want to do it. Okay.
Right. Eat that one.
Yeah, so, you know, she had to wait it out for a year. She eventually got out of it, but yeah.
So do you think there's a room for managers then? Because it seems like some of these people might need that.
No, man, there's definitely room for management. Right, again, it all comes with a caveat. The qualified A&R, the qualified manager. there's definitely room for a manager that knows what they're doing, not in the interest of jerking the artist, but somebody that the artist can trust that can handle the day-to-day responsibilities, because creating music is a full-time job, man. To create great music, it's a full-time job. You know what I'm saying? So you want to be able to hand those other responsibilities off to somebody that's qualified, to know what they're doing, that you can trust, so you don't have to worry about the day-to-day business affairs. Maybe you check, when you have time to, go over some things and make sure that even the person that you hire can explain certain things to you, so that you have an understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because I always encourage that. You always want to educate the artist, and the artist always should want to be educated. But I think there's definitely room for management. As a matter of fact, it's a must. You know what I mean? In order to be successful, you got to have a team. That's the other thing I try to tell artists too. You can't do it by yourself. There's no way. There's no way.
So, speaking of team, talk to us about LF Entertainment.
Oh, okay. So LF Entertainment is a company run by myself and my beautiful wife, Lori Nelson Lee, and we not only, of course, we are in the music business, but we're also in the business of writing children's books. She's also a filmmaker, and of course, I'm an entertainment attorney. But we try to touch on the full gambit of the entertainment industry. We've been established since 2008, and it's a small boutique situation. We also do events. We do Howard Homecoming events. We've been doing that for the past 15, 16 years, maybe probably longer than that. Yeah, about 15, 16 years. But yeah, the thing I like about what we do is it's no pressure. There's no timeline, and we follow the motto: when they go right, we go left. Because we don't want to be, like everybody else. Right. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to be put in a box. We don't want to follow the stat quo. We want to create, the things that we want to create. We want to, grab the audience that's being ignored. You know what I'm saying? And not being like I always say, Gen X is an audience that is not being spoken to in no way, shape, form, or fashion with regards to, consumption. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at commercials, if you look at the entertainment, if you look at they don't market to us. They either market to the baby boomers or they market to the kids. They don't market to us. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of service that we want to provide. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're doing that, because I like your shoes, the Tracey Lee shoes. I need to pay.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, who's the designer that did those?
Oh, me and my man Earl, Urban Wall Street. He also went to Howard University as well. So, and shout out, yeah, of course. And shout out to my man E. Nelson. That's my wife's cousin, who's my cousin as well. He did the original design, and we kind of just flipped it into different colors and styles and things of that nature. So yeah.
I'm digging that.
Nice. I read somewhere that you come from an HBCU family. Everybody in the family went to HBCU?
Everybody. My pop went to Clark, my mom went to Clark, my sister went to Clark, my brother went to Morehouse, I went to Howard, my other sister went to Howard, my wife went to Howard. So, like I said, I went to Southern, and I taught at Coppin State University, and you want to get back into that, you know what I mean? So, we HBCU blood, man. My daughter and my son ain't got no choice but to go to an HBCU. Probably Howard University, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how we.
Yes, this is one of the regrets I have, that I didn't go to HBCU, but my daughter graduated from Clark.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So I wonder, like, how to go into a HBCU. How has that influenced your perspective or your current lens on, like, the affairs, the current affairs that we see going on in America today?
Oh man, listen, I think. So my mother told me when I was 10 years old, right? And this, my affinity for HBCU has been this ever since. Not only to mention the scrapbooks that she had with the pictures. And she pledged AKA, so she had all the sorority, and my dad was a Kappa, so he had all of that, the pictures and all that. But she told me when I was 10 years old, she said, college is going to be the best time of your life. And that always stuck with me, you know what I'm saying? And I know what she meant. I didn't think she just meant any college. I think she was specifically talking about her experience at a HBCU. And so that has always been in my sights. And so, coming out of an HBCU and just experiencing all the homecomings and other homecomings that I've been to A&T's, I've been to North Carolina Centrals, I've been to Morgan States, I've been to a plethora of Clarks, I've been to a plethora of homecomings. There's a certain family sensibility that you have going to an HBCU. It's a camaraderie. I don't care where you are in America, in the world. You know what I'm saying? There's just a certain feeling, and there's a certain attitude, and there's a certain mentality, and there's just a certain way that you look at life. You know what I'm saying? Coming from an HBCU, you look at it through a totally different lens than, if you went to a PWI, if you didn't attend, a college at all. I mean, but specifically, HBCUs give you this sense. I mean, from the little things like walking across the yard, I'm saying, at noon and chilling it. Like back in the day, we used to, this was the 40 era. So we would just sit on the yard, drink before the lunch, roll up a little something. And just, and you just see the picnic, the blankets out on the yard and the women out there. Just, it's a family affair, man. It's like, and I just don't, it's hard to describe. You can't even put it in a bottle and package it. You just can't. It's just, you have to be there to experience it. And anybody that's never been, I would encourage you to at least go to a homecoming, specifically Howard homecoming, but go to a homecoming and you will get just a taste of what it's about, man. It's a feeling. It's incredible. It's like no other.
You got a Howard alumni running for president.
Oh man, listen, and this is our 100th homecoming, 100th anniversary of Howard homecoming this year. You know how crazy it's gonna be in October. This is before the election. You know how it's gonna be so. It's gonna be bananas. It's gonna be.
DMV is gonna be a different place.
Oh my God, for sure. And shout out to Southern University too. I can't forget that. It's crazy down there too, man. My people down in Louisiana. Listen, I was 180, about 185 when I went down to law school, man. I left law school. I was 205, man. The food down there is so crazy. The gumbo and the red beans and rice and all, man. Beignets, it's crazy. Crazy.
Oh, man.
That's too much. How you end up for Coppin State, man? Like, by no means an HBCU family, but I've never witnessed a campus. Morgan State is like that too, but Coppin State, bro. Let me tell Yada Shah, North Avenue is a different animal in Baltimore City, bro. Nothing like it. You have a prestigious university right there, bro.
I put it to you like this: it's if you go to any HBCU, really, all of them are kind of in the hood.
They're probably in the hood.
Like when I went to Howard, man,
it's right there.
When you had I lived in this dorm, Meridian Hill, and it was about 5-6 blocks from the campus. So walking from there, like if I missed the shuttle bus and you had to walk through them neighborhoods, you was either gonna fight or you got chased. It was one of the three. It was survival of the fittest. Now, eventually, after a couple of years, I got cool with a couple of them cats.
Yeah, you learned.
It just reminded me of that. Like all of these HBCUs are in the middle of a hood, yo. So it is what it is. Plus, I'm from Philly, so you know what I mean. Like, all of that back then was crazy. So I was you know what I mean.
Man, given what you know about entertainment law now, would you advise an artist to sign with a label or remain independent?
I say now you don't have to sign with a label. You could do it independently with technology and stuff like that. But you got to be ready to put in the muscle, the sweat equity. You got to be willing to grind. You know what I'm saying? You gotta believe in your product. You gotta do it on a consistent basis. You gotta act like it's a business. Not act like it's a business. It is a business. So you have to be on top of your business constantly. So with that being said, you don't what you need a label for. You know what I'm saying? You got access to millions of people right there on the net.
Yeah.
Like for what? You could build your own shows. You could build your own tours. And you can't think that I'm going to just perform in front of 10,000 people out the gate. No, you got to build it. You got to build it. It starts off with 50, then 100, then 200. You know what I'm saying? But if you committed to your craft, you committed to the music, and you committed to the business, it grows over time. Yeah. Then you look back 10 years from now, you're like, damn, I'm performing in front of 5,000 people. I remember when it was 50. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, I know you
$7 turned to 7,000, right?
Right.
Yo, I know you probably asked this a lot, but I'm still gonna ask it. What was it like working with Biggie?
Oh man, listen, that was as a signed artist, that was the single greatest moment for me as a signed artist. Aside from me actually signing my deal, because Big offered something, you know, from a peer perspective that I'd never, you know, heard or been involved. Like, he's giving me jewels of what it's like. Like, at that time, he was a 5-6 year veteran in the game. Mm-hmm. He was at the top of the food chain. He was working on a masterpiece after the first masterpiece, and he's giving me a perspective of what you should prepare for, and what not only what you should prepare for, but what you should also have in the back of your mind and understand moving forward. Like, he was thinking already about, when this contract ends, I'm out. I'm doing other things. I have Brooklyn Mint in place. Me and Un got a label already at Atlantic. I'm working on movie scripts. I'm working on books. I'm ushering my way out of being in front of the mic, which is something that was not explained to me at that time. And that was the first time I had heard from an artist what your vision should be after this thing is over.
Yeah.
So, good.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Cut you off.
So it wasn't just the record. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like the record. I could get, and we could get into the record in a second, but I just felt like I needed to explain that part of it, because that's the part that I think a lot of people, everybody want to pit me and Big against each other, or say Big wash me on the record and all this other stuff. But I want people to, before we get into that part, I want people to understand what the whole dynamic of the relationship was about. And specifically that night, while we were working on a record for 8-9 hours, there was more than just the conversation of getting on the mic and what your bars sound like and all of that. We were having actual talks about the game and the business and maneuvering. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Now I'm wondering, what I was going to ask you is, like, you know, given where you were in your career at that time, how did you process that conversation then? Like, do you have a greater appreciation for that conversation now versus then?
Oh man, I definitely have I think I had a greater appreciation then. Now it's brought to light. It's brought to the forefront. It comes to fruition.
Yeah. See it now.
But back then it was, holy shit, I never heard this before.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, not only have I not heard it for myself, I didn't think you were thinking along those lines. You see what I'm saying? I didn't know what it was like for you. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, because all I see is the videos at the time, and all I see is the glamour, and all I see is, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. I never had a heart-to-heart talk. And then after that, we started building on. Matter of fact, right before we got into the studio, we started building on the phone, just having conversations. But that night was really when it all came out. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just never heard this perspective coming from you. I was under the assumption that this is what it was, but it wasn't. It was actually this. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know you was trying to, once your deal was done, that was it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that tells me, though, that you guys developed a heck of a relationship and a camaraderie there. And he also saw in you that you were somebody receptive that he could share the information with.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't from the circle, I was a different cat. You know what I'm saying? I was a cat that, you know, that was his man's man. Like that was Mark. Mark was his man, and he ushered me in. Matter of fact, Big, you know what it was? Big was listening to my demos before I even got signed.
He respected your spit, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Before I even, he was one of the determining factors as to why I got signed.
Nice.
Mark was looking for confirmation, not only from that, but from Big too. So he had already, you know, was just based off of the music. Big is an intelligent guy, man. So you can see, you know, the forest for the trees. You know what I'm saying? So you knew what type of cat I was. I wasn't, you know, the cat from Brooklyn. I was, you know, a different type of cat. So it was like, okay, I can have these kind of conversations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've never heard nobody say though that you got washed in that song.
Nah,
I've never heard nobody say that.
I never heard that either.
Nori started that. Nori started that for me. Nori started that for me.
Nori, you gotta relax, Nori.
You know what's crazy about that? I like Nori, and
I do too. I like Nori.
Yeah, I don't know if Nori qualifies as somebody who should be talking about people getting watched on records.
No, I honestly think it was now that this was about 5 years ago, something like that. He had Jada on and Jada, shout out to him. Kiss was like, no, bro, like, because he tried to make it funny. I think it was tongue in cheek. He's trying to tell his audience that's the reason why I disappeared, because Big murdered me on the record and they never saw. Kiss was like, man, that dude's a lawyer and he still makes records. You know what I'm saying? So I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But shout out to Nori. But he started that, and so of course, when you tell the public something, I posted something on my IG one time, and I was like, basically the short of it is, if you tell a lie long enough, people start to
believe.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what that was. The public got a hold of it, and they still carrying it to this day. And not to mention, I get it. Big is revered, man. Is one of the greatest of all time. And if you a lot of times, if you're a fan of somebody, you're gonna stick with them to the end. And I don't care what nobody say. And There's no way Trey could have hung with Big. That's just impossible. It cannot happen. And so I just don't debate with that. If that's what you feel, that's what you feel.
Yeah. As a native New Yorker, though, I've never heard anybody mention that record in a comparative sense, like a competitive, I've never heard. People were just like, yo, that's a great record. I've never heard. I can honestly say I've never heard anybody ever say, yo, Trey Lee got off on Big on that one, or And I think I think ushered in, but you know what? I think that's become more of a topic now, because I think Nas sort of ushered that in when he made that reference about Jay-Z.
Oh yeah,
and then that's what became the thing when people get on the record. I mean, like, probably inside with artists, you writing with somebody else, you get on record, you like, yo, I'm about to have the best verse on here.
Listen,
general public, we weren't really like unless it was a verse that was horrible, we'd be like, nah, that verse was trash. That verse was much better. But I don't think the comparative thing, really came into play until that point when Nas pointed that out.
Listen, as an MC, man, you're always competitive. You're competitive with yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you listening to, most MCs that take pride in their craft, they listening to the last things they wrote, like, I gotta bury that. So God forbid somebody get on a record with me, I gotta make sure that my verses is heating it up. Like, in other words, I need to set the standard. I'm not gonna let you set the standard. I need to set the standard of where you gotta go. You know what I'm saying? So, that's just a natural thing with MCs that take pride in their craft, you know what I mean? But as far as the record, me and Big got on the phone and discussed the concept of a record. We was trying to make a conceptual record. We jacking the industry. We jacking these cats that's out here claiming that they got this, that, and the third. We think you lying, so we gonna confront you. And if you're not lying, then run it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the concept is about. But of course, we're gonna put our MC on it. You gotta say that the best way that you can. The concept that we trying to portray, you gotta spit it the best way that you can. And so I know I'm on the record with Big. I can't come like on some ABC. And he heard me, you know what I mean, 12 months prior. So he know I'm not coming with an ABC. It's like Trey gonna come with it. So I got to do this, and I'm like, Big gonna come with it. So I got you know what I mean? So yeah.
So let me ask you this. So on the other end of it, like, again, as a consumer, here's another thing that I've always thought when I hear multiple artists on a record, and it could just be just like my own belief or whatever. If I hear 3 people on a record and I hear the second person, the in between person, I'm usually in my mind like I did put that person in the middle for that's just
somebody on deck is on deck to close in the mid.
Start off strong and finish crazy. But we were talking to somebody else, I forget which artist it was, and he was saying that he always wanted the first verse like on the mixtapes, because a lot of the mixtapes, like people wouldn't let the whole song ride out on the radio when the DJ would be like, you ain't never getting to that verse. That's why we got records today that you be like, damn, this person had a verse on there.
Word.
Got past the first, the first verse to second verse. But I just always in my mind, always like, is that something strategically that artists think about? Like, all right, we got 3 people on this, who go first, who go last? Gonna go first. Big, you gonna go last. Johnny Jenkins.
Nobody gonna hear that.
Nah, I think again, going back to my point as an MC, that's why you got to heat it up. Like, you got to go in there thinking either whoever's after me is going to catch it, or either everybody got to go before I do, because they know that I'm gonna close the show. That's why you got to go in there. Either you're gonna be first or last, or anywhere you're placed in that record, your attitude gotta be. I think this is what the MC, the Opus MC says. Mm-hmm. I don't care where I'm placed in the record. I don't care. Whoever is gonna come after me is gonna get lit up. Yeah. That's just. Or you got to follow what I said. You see what I'm saying? You got to match. You got to match what I do. So I don't think it's a situation where I can't be I can't be placed second or placed third, or it's like wherever I'm placed. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta kill it. Yeah, now I'm gonna be thinking all night, like, who had a second verse on a record that the second verse sounded better than the first or the last? Because in my mind, it's like you put the person in the middle that you like.
You know what? Thinking about that, there's certain people that now I think about that's always second. I don't know.
Okay, so Reservoir Dogs, who was second?
Let me see. Who went second? Where
was Styles?
Styles caught a body on Reservoir Dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
Where was he?
Yeah, Styles caught a body on Reservoir.
Yeah, I got you.
Who was well, no, here's another thing to think about second. And Banned from TV. Pun was second.
Pun was second.
Yeah, Pun was second. And we still debate to this day whether Pun or Nature had the better verse.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I heard somebody
don't like to say it though. If you listen to Wu-Tang, the second person is almost the same person almost every time, especially in their solo songs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first person.
Who is it? Meth? Is it Meth?
It's Deck. Deck is always the middle.
And see, Deck is one of my. Is
Deck got some of the best start off joints ever though.
To me, it's Jizza, then Deck, then Meth. Lyrically, that's just my.
Yeah, they always put Deck. Deck always seemed like he is starting on the middle.
Deck is oh God.
Deck got easily like one of the illest. I mean, I've gone to shows and I've seen, you look around and you look at like the demographics of the show and the people there and you be like, damn, they know this. And so atomically, philosophies, like
Find out be dropping these mockeries.
Boy, ill.
But you see what happens when they put him first, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody's verse measured up.
No, nobody had a verse.
On that song, nobody's verse measured up to that.
Yeah. Nobody's verse. It's kind of but I don't know. I would just always wonder that. I'm like, all right, the second person is a strategy to.
I mean, for the most part, I see what you're saying. Like if you go to the scenario, like who was second? You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to
OD.
No disrespect, but you know what I mean. You get it.
Probably think OD. Trey, as an entertainment lawyer, what exactly is the scope of your services?
We do everything from recording contracts to producer contracts to literary contracts. I did contracts for my wife. Really, kind of the full gambit. Television licensing deals, anything dealing with contracts from an entertainment perspective. That's what we handle. We've been approached with other kinds of agreements that, I have a network of people that just to say, if I can't handle it, I can pick up a phone with trustworthy, reliable people that I can connect them with. But for the most part, like I said, anything that's dealing with the entertainment industry, we definitely handle.
Nice.
You had Kobe as a client. What was that like?
Oh, well, it was a company that he was representing, and it dealt with events. And so a person that I was working for had a deal with them. And I want to say it was for All-Star Weekend. Was that? I forget what city it was in, but they were doing an event. And so we did that. We did that deal. You know what I mean?
Have you ever met somebody? Because I know you talked about how Biggie was he was called put together on his business. He understood his vision. Mm-hmm. Have you ever met anybody, either as a lawyer or as an artist, that you felt that when you met them, they should have been further along? Like in your mind, you thought this person was put together, and then when you really talked to them or seen it, it just wasn't what you thought it would be?
That's a great question. That is a great question. Oh, man. I can say offhand, I'm not sure, but I'm sure I can call y'all after this and give me about 15 minutes. I'm sure somebody will come to mind, because it's going back to that word fascinating. It's fascinating to me how, you see certain people in this game that you thought was one way, and it was like, damn, it's like that. You really don't know. Or you know what? Okay. There's a lot of and I feel that's why we need a union and we need programs in the industry. A lot of these older artists, like I'm talking, early 80s, 70s, you know what I'm saying? They got jerked, bro. Like they really, really got jerked, you know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of them that's now, there's this thing where your copyright reverts back to you after a certain amount of years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think it's like 35 years or something like that. So there's a lot of these artists that are coming up on that or have passed that, I want to encourage for anybody that's listening, if there's paperwork that you have to, there's a process. There's paperwork that you have to fill out in order for, the process to occur where you can actually get your copyright back. And you need to start that process, I think, maybe about 5 years before it actually happens.
Oh, wow.
So that you don't get caught up at the last minute where it's time for the rights to revert back to you, that you're caught behind the 8 ball. So, me and Dana Dane have talked about it. We talked about it a few years ago, and I think he went through the process and got it done. But yeah, man, it's a lot of these older artists, our OGs, our pioneers, that really got jerked in the game because it was the beginning stages of the game. You know what I'm saying? And they had no education with regards to, how the music industry worked and all that other stuff, because we all know the story. Downtown came uptown and took the music downtown, and, all they did was
money till downtown.
Exactly. So that was it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I see a lot of that.
But recently online, I don't know if you follow MC Shy Rock.
Yeah,
on Instagram. But
love Shy.
Did you see like how she the sort of the thing she did where she was moderating between Frankie Cutlass and I forget what about it.
I heard about the Puerto Rico joint, right?
Yeah. That was a really interesting discussion to me, because Frankie Cutlass was saying that he didn't make any money off the record. And it sounds like off lines, they had made an agreement that Frankie Cutlass was going to give the guy $5,000 or something like that, but he wasn't moving at the pace that the dude wanted around it. But then Frankie, it got so frustrating for him. Like as I'm watching this video, like Frankie Cutlass was like, "Yo, you could take it up with your lawyer. Like I really have no obligation to give you anything because I sampled it from I think he said he sampled it from a mixtape or something like that. But he acknowledged that he never cleared it with anyone." So I was just thinking about that as you're talking. I'm like, like some of the earlier dudes like really got it bad.
Yeah,
really.
It's crazy. And that was corny on Cutlass's part, man.
Okay.
It's like you switching up your tone, you switching up speeds, and all really the cat is trying to do is trying to figure out if there is something owed to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want what's owed to me. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have to, get indignant about it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know, then that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't get, but there's a proper way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't think that was proper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I give Sha-Rock her props, because I think if she wouldn't use her platform to bring it to light, then I
never got there.
Ricky Cutlass would have just kept fleeing the dude off, pushing him down around compensating him. But I hear that a lot though from a lot of people when it comes time to actually pay somebody, for using their work. Like, well, I didn't make any money off the record, or they, it's the record label's responsibility for clearing it, and these are like the usual excuses you hear people use.
I'm going through that right now.
Oh wow!
That right now, there's this EDM artist DJ by the name of Clooney, and he's overseas, and they use a record called "We Like" Me, D. Dot, and there's another. Their voices on there that they're using. You know what I'm saying? Dia, my homegirl Dia. Our voices are on the "We Like" record, the original, which was never, you know what I'm saying, put out in the marketplace, but we still own the copyright to it. And so they're using this record, and it's getting like, spins all over the world.
Wow.
And we are just trying to get our share of the publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And they still are dragging their feet. I done sent all types of emails, letters, percentages, with the percentages and all the other stuff, and still to no avail. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like you're caught in a quandary. Do I, do a cease and desist? You know what I'm saying? But then that's a whole nother process. You know what I mean? So, and I'm saying all this to say this game gets sticky. Like, you got to have, not only the wherewithal, but you got to have the patience and the perseverance, especially when you want to go sue somebody. You know what I mean? To carry it all the way through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And believe me, if I didn't have a 7 and a 9-year-old and all kind of other stuff going on, that I would definitely. But I ain't. I ain't got that. I don't. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get what's coming to me. Like, I don't. You know what I mean? God got all. He got it all mapped out. I don't. My time is best served somewhere else. I ain't got the time to be dealing with y'all. I'm gonna get what y'all owe me. It's cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just wanted to explain that story with regards to, chasing your money around, and how this game works, and how the business works, and who has the rights to what, and all this other kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And it's, I don't know how many artists, like the older generation artists come through your door and ask for your assistance around it, but I think they definitely need some form of representation, somebody that can help them with it, because I'd imagine like actually retaining, is different than, it's probably different going to you than going to a personal injury attorney. Like whatever we recoup, give you a percentage. Like, like if you were somebody from yesteryear that you didn't make a lot of money off of, music, or you just don't have a lot of money in general, to be able to pay a retainer, and I think that some of these companies or artists that sample the music from yesteryear, they know that. They like, all right, this dude, sue me. Like,
they put them in a bind, man, because they know that. You know what I'm saying? And I try to help as many people as possible. There's work that I've done and I haven't gotten a dime. You know what I mean? But there's work-life balance. There's a time where I can do it, and then there's times when I can't do it. And I explain that to people, like, my family comes first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? If I got the time and the energy to do it, then, and if I can do it for pro bono, then I will. But if there's a situation where I know there's some things coming down the line where I need a check, then we're gonna have to. I invested in myself and went and got this return on investment, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's how it works.
That's a fact. I listened to like some of your most recent work. I think the last project I seen was the Glory Project, in 2021, and it seems like you still got a passion for the music, and I appreciate that, because we've interviewed so many artists that as a result of the music business, they soured on the business of making music. So it's refreshing to talk to you you know, and hear that you're knowledgeable about how, you know, the music business works, but also still be passionate about making music. Like, what led to you, or what allows you to continue to be passionate after your experience?
Oh man, you know what? This is such a great question at this particular junction in my life. First of all, I got to send y'all brothers my latest project. It's called Different. And now,
yeah, I'm checking that out. Keep it a stack is my shit right
there. Woo, yeah. But I'm gonna send y'all that joint as soon as we get off this line. But I think what it's and the reason why that's a great question right now is because I'm keeping it a stack. I'm currently in a funk because I'm not inspired. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? I'm just it's slow. It's getting there. I'm on the brink, and I know when I get over this hump, it's gonna be a lot because I'm just, you know, things are developing. There's a lot to talk about, right? Yeah. But I want to, but the thing about, you know, keeping the passion is that, you know, you want to be better. Like I mentioned before, you always measuring yourself against your last project. Number one. Number two, you know, you don't want to. You know, whenever you present yourself, at least this is what I'm thinking. I don't want to present myself in a way that it just sounds redundant or it sounds, you know, outdated, or it sounds, you know what I'm saying? So, but in turn, these are the things that keep the fire lit. You know what I'm saying? Because now I have goals to achieve. You know what I'm saying? When I stop, you know, wanting to achieve these certain goals, then that's when it's over. But these are the things that are a part of why I have a passion for it. And because I've been doing it for, going on 40 years now, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, about 40, maybe a little over 40 years. It's like, you know, I've seen everything damn near. I've seen the evolution of, you know, the MC. I've seen how, you know, the consumer consumes music. I've seen, you know, how certain types of music, you know, lifts spirits and causes people to even, you know, go into, you know, depression and all types of emotions that music carries you through. And so that's a part of my passion. Where can I take, you know, not only for myself, where can I take the music, but even for the consumer and the listener, where can I take them? You know what I'm saying? What road and what journey can I take them down? You know what I'm saying? Because I know we're all going through the same things, damn near. So I want to be able to touch people in a certain way with the music, you know what I'm saying, in order for them to walk this, because we're all walking the same journey. I need you to walk right with me while you're listening to this music. And so these are the things that keep me passionate about continuing to do the music after all these years.
Right. You know, and you know what I noticed too, man, from the Esquire project all the way through Glory, you seem to work a lot with Eric Roberson.
Oh yeah.
That's the vocalist. And you talk about maturity. I like the joints you do with him, man. You got a lot of good joints. And I like him vocally. And he spit a little too.
Yeah. Yo, we used to be in a singing group back at Howard. See, that's the part. So, you know, I used to croon a little bit, you know what
I mean? He's a dope guy. Shout out to Eric, man.
Man, fantastic artist, like the most incredible writer I've ever worked with. You know what I'm saying? One of the greatest writers of our time, if I do say so myself, man. And his versatility. You know, he has a song out now called Mask where it deals with mental health. You know what I'm saying? That's absolutely incredible. You know, and like I said, that's been my guy for the last, you know, 30 some odd years, man. Right. So salute to that brother, for sure.
Well, I don't have any other questions. I don't know, Kenyatta, you got any other questions?
No, man. This is just great. You know what? Again, like Sean said, it's great to see somebody. I gotta say, out of all the people, you might be the second person that still had that passion. Like, it wasn't like a heartache story where you where you just
rebound, like,
life is killing you or something. Gotta choke you off the ledge tonight.
Oh man,
I was a leaders of the New School fan. So Dinko D, Charlie Brown. You know, I love you brothers. We were just talking about the scenario and who were the standouts on the scenario record. That scenario record the scenario record catapulted one person in particular career to a whole nother level. I remember the performance on the Arsenio show where Busta Rhymes did the first joint with the hat. Next thing you know, Busta Rhymes was out of there.
I
That was it.
About that, but we got your IG up on the screen, Tracey Lee. Like, if somebody want to get in contact with you in regards to music, in regards to your services, you know, how else could they get in contact with you?
Man, you're simple. You can go to traceyleemusic.com. That's TRACEYLEE music.com. That is the website. As for now, and I'm trying to hang on to that domain name because I'm switching, you know, my builder, if you will, you know what I mean? Just trying to develop a new site, you know, make it more user-friendly, things of that nature. But as of right now, it's traceyleemusic.com.
All right, Tracey Lee, we appreciate you. Salute. Thanks again, man.
This has been a hell of a talk, man. Thank y'all brothers for having me on, man. And I appreciate y'all for sure.
Thank you. Great interview.